Good evening, good people. We are so glad that y'all are here with us tonight. We're going to get started in just one moment. While we're taking that moment, I want to give some love to the team that makes these calls happen. This is more than just checking a demographic box for us or just another thing on a to-do list. This is about making sure that all of us have access to learn from and with one another to build the power of our people, to celebrate the folks who labor day in and day out to throw down for us. Unfortunately, we don't have ASL tonight, but we will swear to make sure that we have a transcription available with the recording. And shout out to On Point and all the tech and comms and design crew and every single co-sponsoring organization, Movement for Black Lives, Seed the Vote, showing up for racial justice. I'm looking at you. And to every single one of you who have gotten folks on the call tonight. We see you. We love you. I'm grateful for you. Go on and make sure you take a second to pull out your phone or your iPad, go on your social media, whatever. Tell folks that we're here tonight. Tell them they can join us. I'm going to do that literally right now. Know that we're glad that you're here. We see you. We love you. I want to welcome you to this mass call. Remind you that we're here because we come together to process our feelings, to be reminded of our work in this time, and to learn together. As we've been doing for many months now, back since April, this mass call is our chance to take a step back as movements and examine where we are. We want to look at the current events, but we also want to look past the punditry and put this election and this moment in a bigger context. So thank you for prioritizing this call tonight. Again, I'm going to give you a second before we get into the programming to holler at your folks. Tell them to go on and get in here with us tonight. Today, we're going to be hearing from the front lines, as per usual, about the work that's happening all across this country. And you can do your part too by making sure folks get here and responding to the calls to action that we're going to share tonight. I'm Ashley Woodard Henderson. My homies call me Ash. I use she, her pronouns, or anything said respectfully and in right relationship. And I am your host for tonight. I want to welcome all the folks who haven't missed a call. We see you. Welcome back. And to all of our new folks, especially the many of you who came to the Making Meaning of the Moment call that we did last week, welcome to you as well. We're so glad that you've joined us. If you're watching on Zoom, please use the chat to say hello and let us know where you're calling in from. If you want to shout out an organization that you rock with, feel free to do that as well. Also, shout out to the folks that stream. Y'all feel free to do the same over there. And I'm sending some special love out to all the folks that are watching the recording after tonight. So we see you. We love you. Thank you so much for not regarding it robbery to be with us. Now, y'all know we do this every call that we remind ourselves that when we are fighting for justice, when we're fighting for liberation, there's always going to be some haters. And the more visible that our work is, the more they're going to come after us. So our work just got a whole lot more visible last week when a whole swath of organizations, over 200 organizations across the country, across our movement ecosystem, turned out hundreds of thousands, over 100,000 people registered, and tens of thousands of folks got on the call at the very least. We know that means our landscape is much bigger. And we also know that means the right wing took notice. Y'all have seen it. You've seen it online. You've seen it in the chats, all of the things. So if trolls show up in the chat tonight, we know that this is upsetting, but we're not going to be surprised by it. If you see any hateful messages in the Zoom chat or on social media, please flood the chat with messages of solidarity, messages of love, other positive messages. Remember that we can disagree in this sacred space that we're building together, but we will not disrespect each other. So can y'all say what's up in the chat? I see Toledo is here, Boston, Michigan. We got Arizona, LA, Buffalo is here. We've got folks from, shout out to South Kakalaki. I see folks from Somerville, Detroit. We've got incredible folks here from all over the country. We see you. We love you. From the Midwest to the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest, the dirty South, the East Coast. We see you. We love you. Thank you for being here. Let's take a second before we get into our regularly scheduled programming to just get grounded together. Friends, it is incredibly okay, more than okay, to feel your feelings in this moment. It's okay to feel angry that 4 years ago, we fought like hell to put an end to this madness, only to be in this set of conditions today. It's okay if you're angry that a Supreme Court, one that corporations and Christian nationalist theocrats have been stacking by any means necessary, has been dismantling our democracy from within, and not just in the last year, but over the last many years. It's okay if you're angry that Jim Crow is roosting in the highest court of the land and in the policy demands of the corporate elite. It's okay if you feel scared. Folks saying that everything's going to be all right when our people are already suffering and ignoring the impact that Project 2025 and Project Esther will have on our movements, our neighbors, our families, knowing that this is going to cause immeasurable amounts of anxiety and harm to many of us. It's okay if you feel scared. Our enemies will weaponize it. They will take our anger, our grief, our fear, and use it against us. They will minimize it and ridicule it. They will try to paint us into a corner with it. They'll tempt us to fight with and blame each other for how we got to this moment, totally erasing the ways that the two-party system, among a plethora of other systems that were designed not to serve working families, to set us up. They'll portray us as out of touch with their so-called mandate and their triumphant march back to the Capitol, the same Capitol they attacked in a spasm of their own misogynistic white rage. You may feel powerless. Our anger may edge into despair. This is the place where we must draw the line, friends. We must hold our ground. For that despair can lead to cynicism and disgust at the people around us. And then that despair can lead to loneliness, and that loneliness lead to numbness. And then, and only then, they will have won. As we prepare for what is ahead, we choose this community. We choose the hard work of being humble in our assessments and our summations, bold in our vision and plans moving forward, organizing for ourselves, organizing for our children, organizing for our planet. This is the same choice that so many people have struggled before us have also stood and made. We are here because of the choices that they made. We carry their wisdom in our bones. We carry their songs as a contract to the past and to the future that we will never, ever, ever give up. As we prepare for what's ahead, let's remember the words of the incredible writer Mario Benedetti. He grew up in poverty, went to work at the age of 14, and lived in political exile for many years when his country was under the control of a dictatorship. Mario writes, "We sing because it rains on the trenches, and we are the militants of life, and because we cannot and do not want to let songs become ashes. We sing because to scream is not enough, and neither are tears or anger. We sing because we believe in people and because we will overcome defeat. We sing because the sun recognizes us and because the fields smell like spring and because in this stem and that fruit, every question has its answer." Let's take a deep breath in through our noses, remembering that we are, in fact, the ones we've been waiting for, and breathe out through your mouth any system-born socialization in our heads that would tell us that we can't be the leaders that this moment requires. We sing because to scream is not enough, and neither are tears or anger. We sing because we believe in people, because we love them. We love us. We sing because we will overcome defeat. As the incredible Tenjiwe McCarris says, it's our time for the big comeback. And I could not be more proud of you and everyone on this call for the courage, the determination, the discipline, the rigor, the eternal optimism, and the grounded, real assessments that we have shown. We have so much more road to travel, friends, but we have each other. So let's get to it. There are many things that you can do to plug into this collective work to ensure that we control the terrain in which we continue to build our power. The work is not over. If you haven't already, I need you to take your phone out, take it out right now, and text mass call to 30403 for a list of all the ways that you can take action. We're going to keep sending you updates about the current calls to action through that text message service. So just because the election is over does not mean that we don't have more work to do. In fact, we're just getting started. So we're going to drop some links in the chat. for calls to action that you can sign up to take right now. One, you can cure ballots in California. You're going to hear more about that in just a few more minutes. You can holler at Joe Biden and tell him that it's his responsibility to do everything in his power to protect our democracy and rights before Trump takes office. Y'all heard us talk about YOLO Joe last week. This is your opportunity to sign the petition demanding that President Biden do everything in his power to protect us before he's out of office. You can host a We Are Worth Fighting For community gathering. We talked about those last week and y'all have blown it out of the water. Thousands of you have expressed interest. Hundreds of you have already promoted your gatherings. We've already had some gatherings this week. Hundreds of you have been trained and are signing up for trainings about what to do to bring your community together in this critical time. If you don't have the capacity to host a gathering, but you want to find where they're happening around you, there's also a link in the chat for you to find a We Are Worth Fighting For community gathering as well. These are just the beginning of calls to action that are going to be critical and necessary between now and the end of January. So make sure that you're texting mass call to 30403 so we can make sure to keep you abreast of what we're up to. Now, let me remind you what we're even doing here. These mass calls are being hosted by the Working Families Party and highlighting WFP member organizations and leaders from across the country. As always, we want these calls to be grounding, to provide you with information and strategic orientation from movement leaders that we know you can trust, and to give you concrete things that you can do to get off that noisy hamster wheel of information, misinformation, disinformation that's being thrown at you and put you back in the driver's seat around power building actions. If you like what you see here and you want to be plugged in for more, you can text mass call to 30403. We have so many more mass calls coming up, which you can find out about on our Mobilize page. We'll drop a link to that in the chat as well. Want to make sure that you know we have a mass call scheduled for the 20th of November. You can RSVP for the November 20th mass call at that Mobilize link that we're going to drop in the chat. Again, you can get all of this and more if you've texted mass call to 30403. That's going to be our bat signal to gather again. Here's what we're going to do on today's call. First, as always, we're going to do some political education on our block and build strategy. Then we're going to hear from incredible people that are on the front lines of our work who are thinking about where we go from here. Some faces that I'm sure you'll remember and recognize, and maybe some new faces. And as always, we're going to give you concrete ways that you can plug into this work and take action, because we don't learn how to be strategic just to have better analysis than the other guys. We learn how to be strategic to put those values into practice and to build working families' power. All right, y'all. I want to know you're ready to get some of this good learning. Are y'all ready for a great mass call? Holler at me in the chat. I see you all. We got folks from Cali, from Connecticut, from Michigan, from New York, from DC. Shout out to DC. We've got Virginia in the building. We got Central Florida here. Austin, Texas, Fort Worth, Pittsburgh, San Diego. I see y'all. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Philly's in the building. Fargo is here. We see you. We love you. Jersey's up in here. The People's Republic of Brooklyn. Shout out to y'all. We see you. Thank you so much for being here. I think we are ready to have a mass call. Let's get organized. Let's do this. So for today's Block and Build political education session, we're going to talk about strategy. With the election behind us, we're entering into a new phase of the work. So we need to update our strategy, our tactical interventions, so that we're clear about how we're building power in the next period of struggle. Before we do, let's remind ourselves that we stand on the shoulders of giants, of other folks who have come before us. This is the incredible Fannie Lou Hamer, one of Mississippi's finest. In the 1960s, Miss Fannie Lou Hamer and others founded the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. Y'all know about MFDP. They founded it to fight the segregation of the Democratic Party in the South. It was a third party rooted in a broader social movement that advanced the cause of civil rights and freedom and liberation for Black people and all people. As we like to do, let's review some of the material that we've gone over in previous mass calls. At the end of this, we're going to share with you how to access these materials, so stay tuned for that as well. Last week, we did a deeper dive on the political crisis in the United States. In short, the political crisis is defined by an authoritarian takeover of the Republican Party. It's defined by a Democratic Party that is beholden to corporate forces and caters to affluent voters, all while working class voters are defecting across race and region. And this crisis is defined by the fact that the two-party system limits the set of options that we have to address these dynamics. In the context of this crisis, the Working Families Party is aligning individuals and organizations to build long-term electoral majorities. The prize here is to govern. On past calls, we talked about this idea from the political theorist Stuart Hall. For him, politics is bigger than just elections. What we do in elections is the long-term practice of constructing majorities. Our goal is to construct a majority of working class voters of every race behind our politics. Let me pause here. I've heard the rumors, we've heard the rumors, you've probably heard the rumors that when we're talking about class, it means we're no longer talking about race and we don't care about race. Have y'all heard these rumors? Like that folks that only want to talk about class are class essentialists and they're not talking about race? I've heard the rumors. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking about people like my family when I talk about working families. I'm thinking about my friends. I'm thinking about me. We have for far too long been programmed to hear class as meaning some picture of a white dude in a hard hat. Now, I love me some white dudes in hard hats, and I welcome those folks to our movements, but the numbers don't lie, y'all. The actual working class in this country is much more diverse than just that. It is that vision of the working class that we need to hold in our heads so that we actually mean it when we say we're building a multiracial working class. That's the goal here, right? Are you down to build a multiracial working class? No matter what the color of their skin, many working class voters are what we call cross-pressured. We talked about that in previous calls, and that means there are competing influences that are shaping their political loyalties, and they're being pulled in different directions. And since we're doing all of this work in the context of the rigidly two-party system in the United States, it means we're dealing with a zero-sum electoral equation. If the Democratic Party loses support, even if those voters don't vote for Republicans, it still mechanically transfers power to the Republicans. So given this, we have to be very strategic about how we approach elections. During the 2024 election cycle, we often made the point that elections are a chess move. Let's dig into that more deeply. Here's a picture of the chessboard of the election that we just completed. And on this 2024 chessboard, here are the two major parties and the Working Families Party. In 2024, in the election, we were part of a united effort with the Democratic Party. We were, of course, the junior coalition partner. As a legacy party, the Democrats led on selecting and then reselecting their top of the ticket candidate. The Democrats had the bulk of the money, and they controlled a much larger portion of the electoral campaign infrastructure. And let's be real, there's still a lot more people out there, working class or otherwise, who identify themselves as Democrats rather than members of the Working Families Party. For these reasons, the Democratic Party was in the leading position of this coalition. While we certainly did a ginormous amount of work, especially in the battleground states, we were still in the position sometimes of having to defer to the Democratic Party on many central questions of strategy, resource allocation, etc. But the point is that on this chessboard, we were united in an effort to confront the MAGA movement. We were united because we made a sober assessment that neither us or them or any of the other forces in the so-called Cheney to Chomsky coalition were strong enough on our own to block this threat by ourselves. Of course, as we all painfully know, even our united front effort was not enough this time. The MAGA win is generationally impactful, and there is no sugarcoating that. So we have to move forward with a sense of humility that more is required of us. But now the election is over. And here's the thing. The game we are playing has shifted. We're no longer in the pressure cooker of a zero-sum equation, the two-party teeter-totter, where weakness of one majority party mechanically translates into electoral strength for the other is not what we're dealing with for the next period. Now, you could say that we're playing a three-sided chess game. The three-sided chess is a game just like chess, but instead of playing against one opponent, we're playing against two. Instead of a two-way zero-sum equation on the chessboard that we were playing on, this three-sided chessboard opens up a different dimension for building power. To be clear, our strategy hasn't shifted at all. It has not changed. We are still doing block and build. What has changed is the very nature of the game that we're playing. We're moving on a different terrain. In the general election, when MAGA was on the other side of the ballot, our strategy and tactics required creating a united front with the Democratic Party. This because we understand that elections have consequences and we don't have the privilege of ignoring that fact. But beyond the general election, our conditions and block and build strategy can look different. So let's look at that more closely. Let's look at this power map again. We have the same players, but the field of play looks different. Instead of being lined up as a united front with the Democrats facing the Republican Party, all three parties are facing one another now. In a second, I want to talk to you about the power building moves that we can make in this scenario. But before I do that, I want to say something about where all this is heading so you know why we're going through all of this. Simply put, this is about how we're building. We've been very clear about what we're blocking. Everyone on the call just put it all on the line to block because the threat was so crystal clear. Now we need to have that same clarity about what we're building, y'all. Somebody say power in the chat. That's what I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build power. I'm trying to build social power. I'm trying to build economic power. I'm trying to build governing power. I'm trying to build people's power so that we're going to start digging in there today. And we're going to spend some time on future calls getting really, really clear about what we mean when we say build. Spoiler alert, our goal isn't just to build for the sake of building. We envision a world where in future elections, we're not the junior coalition partner, but we're actually playing the leading role. This is dependent on how much power we build in this moment. We got to build our strong social movements. We got to build our own party. We got to build our own self-determined communities. I hope you're ready to build, good people. When we start to think in those terms, it brings a whole new level of seriousness to what we're talking about here. We're not content just throwing stones from the sidelines. We're saying to ourselves and to others that there will come a time when we are leading the charge. And in case you're sitting there thinking this won't ever happen in your lifetime, I invite you to remember that there is more to this than just presidential elections. And in fact, we are already playing this kind of role in various cities, state legislatures, and even at the congressional level. So if that is our goal, then let's break down how we get there on this new chessboard that we're playing on. The first power move is that we need to look for strategic openings to break the Republican coalition. We're going to break up that Republican coalition. Trump succeeded in winning over, at least temporarily, more working class voters of increasingly diverse backgrounds. We need to look for opportunities to wedge the Republican Party along those class lines. We've got to pick smart fights in the coming months, good people, at all levels of government that signal that whatever line Trump is selling about being a man of the people, it is actually bullshit. Trump is the boss who doesn't pay you on time. He's the landlord that raises your rent. Trump builds private clubs and golf courses for the rich to hang out in and laugh at all the rest of us while planning how to make themselves even richer and us poorer, consolidating their power at our expense. How will we know if this break maneuver is working? I would propose a few metrics that we can use to measure our progress. One, I'm going to tell you three. One, are we seeing visible fractures in the GOP, the right-wing coalition? Are they fighting amongst themselves? Two, is our alignment of forces coming into tighter formation? Are we moving with greater clarity of purpose together over the short, medium, and long term? And three, and finally, are we successfully exposing the bullshit of this right-wing populist narrative? Are the polls showing decreases in their support? Are the focus groups of our friends and families registering a change? Are the people that we know, our parents, our cousins, our high school friends who maybe don't follow this stuff as obsessively as we do, are they starting to notice that all of this is a Trump con job? And using some of these breaking maneuvers on the Republicans, we almost certainly will be joined by the Democratic Party. They're going to be looking for ways to weaken the Republicans as they're thinking about strategy for the 2026 midterm elections, for example. So we're not arguing that this is the end of the united front. We welcome this united effort with the Democrats because we recognize that there are more directions this attack is going to come from, and the more likely that if we do it that way, that it'll land squarely on our desired target. But we won't stop there. We'll also be looking for moves to wedge the corporate wing of the Democratic Party and to minimize their influence over that party's direction. We will accomplish this through organizing, through candidate recruitment, and through lifting up issues and picking election fights in the primaries to advance our own position. The next power move that we'll be using is bridging. Again, y'all heard about some of this on last week's call. As Mo Mitchell, the national director of the Working Families Party, mentioned on last week's mass call, if you're sitting in a room where you agree with everyone, you're not sitting in a big enough room. If your idea of organizing is to only work with people who share the exact same ideas you have, then you don't have the stomach for the work ahead. Our task right now is to organize our people. We need to build bridges with working class people across race and region. We know that many working class people are done with both of the major parties. These are people that we need to be talking to. We need to be recruiting. We need to be absorbing them as leaders, as candidates. We need to grow our base of people with smart and patient organizing who can challenge both the major parties because they are not looking out for us. And as time goes on, this work of bridging to working class people will change the balance of forces on that power map. We will be pulling more and more people into our own orbit. It will continue to change the balance of forces until we are harder and harder to ignore. Of course, because this is a three-sided chessboard, we should also be prepared for attacks to come against us from both the Republicans and the Democrats and maybe other people too. And they may even team up to attack us. This is something that we have seen happen many times before in the Working Families Party's 26-year history. But when that is happening, guess what? We know that we're doing something that's really working. So again, where is all of this headed? We need to be building right now in a serious way because there are lots and lots of people out there that are looking for something different, something new, something that looks and feels a lot like y'all, a lot like us. There are millions of people out there who are done with this two-party tug of war that is not making their lives any better, that they're looking for people that they can trust with a plan to change it. We have to be those people, y'all. We're not content with being on the sidelines. We're not prepared to be the junior coalition partner forever. Our movements are ready to lead. It starts with what we do right now. So if you like what you're hearing, if you like these political education sessions that we've been doing on these calls, we're going to post the recordings on the website. You've seen it. It's at www.workingfamilies.org/mass calls. We're going to drop that link in the chat. You can see all of the previous mass calls there. And you can also download versions of all of the slides and speakers notes from these political education sessions right there on the website. Again, you can find those materials, and we'll drop this in the chat. You can find these materials at www.workingfamilies.org/mass calls. So we have organizing work ahead of us, good people. And if you have not already and you want to be plugged into this community, I need you to text mass call to 30403. When you do that, you can do multiple things. The first thing I need you to do is the RSVP for the 11/20 mass call, the November 20th mass call. And then I need you to take the following actions. I need you to sign up to cure ballots in California with our homies from Seed the Vote. I need you to sign the YOLO Joe petition asking President Biden to do everything in his power to protect our democracy and rights before Donald Trump takes office. And then I need you to either host or find a We Are Worth Fighting For community gathering. You can sign up to be trained. You can see the toolkit on the website. You can see last week's Making Meaning of the Moment mass call. And you can sign up to host or find and participate in a We Are Worth Fighting For community gathering. So please, please, please sign up to do it there. Next, I have the real honor and opportunity to be in conversation with a comrade that's on the ground in Cali. So we just told you that we've gotten the call to action from Seed the Vote and partners locally in California to cure ballots, to make sure that we're counting every vote. So I'm going to bring up Francis Engler, the California political director for Unite Here Local 11. I know we got some labor folks in the call. So if you're showing up with labor, shout it out in the chat. If you're a Unite Here member, I want you to shout it out in the chat. And I want you to show a lot of love to Francis as he comes. Francis, come on in the room. Thank you for being here with us tonight. We are so grateful to have you. I want to start with a question. Because the word on the street is that we still need to be vigilant about ensuring every single vote gets counted in California. Can you tell us what's happening on the ground? And then I'm going to follow up with a question about what we can be doing to support you.
Yes, thank you for having me here. Yes, for months, cooks and housekeepers and servers with Unite Here Local 11 have been canvassing thousands of voters in the 45th congressional district in California, which is the south part of Los Angeles County and the north part of Orange County. And that includes places like Artesia and Garden Grove. And I'm very happy to report we just, while we're on this call, got the vote count update. And our candidate, workers' rights attorney Derek Tran, is only 350 votes behind his MAGA opponent, Michelle Steele. And it's a tenth of a percent. So the vote is very, very close, and Politico has said that the team with the most robust ballot curing operation to fix ballots that will not be counted without additional information, that the team with the better operation on ballot counting is the team that's most likely to win in this extremely close election. So it's a really exciting opportunity for people to be able to plug in right now to make an immediate difference in a very diverse working class political district that was previously red, previously had a MAGA leader who was one of the co-sponsors of the national ban on abortion, and to replace that Republican representative with a worker rights attorney who will stand up for working people.
Francis, thank you. Tell us, I mean, it's been so incredibly powerful over this cycle to see labor building power with community. Tell us what that means to you as a labor leader, and like what it's looked like on the ground to see folks come together across sector to show up to build working class people power.
All of the things that you said in the talk that you just gave are true on the ground. When you're going door to door with renters and with workers, when you're going door to door in these very diverse working class communities, you're having conversations that don't just fit in the regular box of politics. You have people from all kinds of perspectives that are fed up with the political system the way it is right now, but that doesn't necessarily lead them to vote, and that doesn't necessarily lead them to join one party or the other. But what it is a great opportunity, for face-to-face contact and discussion. And so in the middle of all of the struggle that we have had, and all of the heartbreak of these election results, it's been a great pleasure to be out there having these debates all the time, and seeing that there's so much potential for what we could build. I mean, at the same time we're knocking on doors, people are talking about rent control. They're talking about the minimum wage. They're talking about policies that they would like to see improve their lives. And I think we have a real opportunity in these communities to build a powerful coalition that can win in places that only a little bit ago people said was impossible.
Absolutely. You're giving me some hope about what's to come and moving forward. So I hear you say we need to make sure that we count every vote, get these ballots cured. We're going to drop that link to support this incredible work with you all and see the vote in the chat. If you're in Cali, we especially expect you to show up. And if you're in solidarity and can get there and support this work, we want you to click that link and sign up to volunteer to cure ballots in Cali so that we can nail down this win. Francis, we cure the ballots, we win. I'm claiming it. I'm naming it and claiming it that we're going to see this through. Tell me then what can these folks, these hundreds of folks, these thousands of folks that are watching afterward, what can they be doing to flank and support the incredible work that Local 11 is doing?
Yeah, well, one of the really great things about supporting this particular congressional campaign is that it's built out of a coalition of different organizations. You see that Seed the Vote is mobilizing volunteers to come into the district to help. This campaign was built with OC Action and with Chispa, two great leaders in our community. And we, we have had help from the Working Families Party, from organizations all around Southern California that have been fighting on this. And I think that as soon as these election results are done, we need to turn to be building what's going to be our movement in this and in the surrounding districts, because we have many winnable swing districts in Southern California, where we could build a great movement that looks at politics in a different way.
So back to work, back to organizing. So you've seen in the chat, we've dropped links to Cure with Seed the Vote. You've also seen links to Phone Bank if you're out of state. Let's go ahead and throw down with our colleagues at Unite Here, Local 11. Thank you, Francis, for being here with us and for schooling us up on how we can be supportive to our colleagues in California. The next person that I get to bring to you is a colleague, is a sister, is a homie, is a friend to our people. You all have seen her all over the television. You probably are a subscriber to her podcast. Y'all know Angela Rye. I'm going to be bringing her up to the stage to talk to us shortly. I want you to know that if you haven't met her before, she's an award-winning host. She's a social justice advocate. She's a lawyer. She's a politics and culture commentator, and I could keep going. So I want y'all to show some love in the chat to our sister, our good sister, Angela, who moved mountains to be here to talk to y'all tonight. Welcome, Angela. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to toss you this question. We've heard so much punditry and so many folks telling us that everything's going to be fine, that we shouldn't be stressed out. We've lived through this before, but we're already seeing the right wing, like what they're willing to do to target our elected champions, especially Black elected officials. And we couldn't think of somebody better to talk about what that looks like on the ground historically and now, and particularly what's happening in Jackson, Mississippi right now. Can you tell us what's going on and give us a little bit of a word about how we can flank our folks?
Yeah, I first I just want to tell you all thank you so much for continuing to do the work, whether it is in a progressive administration or not. It is so important that we have places like this, Ashley, to ensure that our folks have an outlet to deal with everything they're seeing. We're watching appointments unfold where you're like, y'all called us DEI? I am so sorry. You have not run for preschool president. Like, why are you running the Department of Defense? So there's a lot happening, and we're dealing with our raw emotions of being gaslit, of being told that we're not good enough, of being told that we're not qualified, all the things. And what we do know is that we're more than qualified, that we always have to be 2 times, 3 times, 4 times as good. And even when we have the nerve to rise up to the occasion, to fight for our folks and to ensure change, we are challenged on every side. We saw some of what you were talking about with Andrew Gillum, who is, of course, now a co-host on our podcast. Andrew happened to beat his charges. He happened to position himself to win with an incredible defense lawyer who cost $1 million. Andrew is still trying to dig out of that fee just to ensure that his freedom when he didn't do anything wrong. Our other colleague, Marilyn Mosby, who had the nerve and the audacity to stand up and say, you will not kill Freddie Gray with impunity, not on my watch as a progressive DA. I will fight you on this. And when she did that, she was experiencing challenges from within her city, within the county, within the state. Thank God Larry Hogan lost against Angela Also Brooks, who also made history this term. And then she was up against DOJ. I would argue that the public corruption unit at the Department of Justice needs to be defunded. It has only been used to target people who have made progress for us. And it doesn't matter what administration it's under, because the people who are there in that space have been burrowed in. They are Trump acolytes. They are folks who are not interested in seeing our best interests. What they desire to do is destroy the bench of Black elected officials so there is nobody to pass the baton to. That is their interest, and that is what we're seeing lately, I believe, with Chokwe. And so I haven't dug into the case all the way, but I'm confident. Sorry, my dad called me. I apologize, Eddie Rye. Shout out to Papa Rye. But I was going to say, I haven't dug into all of the facts of the case, but what I know is this looks like a textbook version of what happened to Andrew. It looks like a textbook version of what has happened to so many of our elected officials throughout history. So when you all get confused, please remember that the Department of Justice is housed in the J. Edgar Hoover building, and they are on mission with the name of the person who is on that building. And until that changes, it is going to be very difficult for us to see real justice. We have to fight like hell. And so what I would tell you is to look beyond what's on the pages of that indictment, because they can tell the story. Like, I don't know why those folks aren't soap opera writers, okay? They can paint a story, paint a picture that is damning, that makes us look guilty before we even have the opportunity to put up a defense. We have to be mindful of that. And just because they want us to believe that Black people are inherently dangerous, inherently criminal, does that mean that that's so? So I would invite you to look up entrapment. I would invite you to realize that the folks who are the alleged developers in this have done it in multiple cities to multiple people, but they have doubled down on Black folks. They say in the indictment that they heard there was some opportunity in Jackson, so they went to go see if it was possible. Nobody asked you to set up a case. You guys could have set up a case against your last president. There is criminality on multiple counts, on multiple levels. What are we even talking about? You're going to set up yachts and private jets to try to entrap someone. How much money did it cost you to even run this case? Right? Like, those are the kinds of questions that we need to be asking, especially because those are our taxpayer dollars that they don't have to help us make groceries more affordable and rent more affordable and schools that are teaching our children, right? But they have money to squander on private jets, on yachts, to try to entrap people over $5,000 or $50,000, or the sister who went on the shopping spree, right? So some of this is about bad judgment, right? But there are a lot of folks who get involved in these cases where they didn't do anything wrong. They were just around the wrong people at the wrong time. And that is not criminal. The optics does not make it criminal, right? There's some things that we have to understand ourselves before we really should be pushing like, oh, this looks bad. This is something. Ask the questions first. We've been through so many trials and tribulations as people of color where we know how it looks, but we also know the facts. So let's make sure we stand on facts as much as we stand on business. So thank you for letting me share, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Angela. I mean, especially stand on business now before we get proven that we were right. You know, I think the thing about Andrew, the thing about Chokwe Antar Lumumba is that they have consistently been on the right side of history. They have consistently shown up with a track record of being champions for us. And we're going to believe folks that are the descendants of COINTELPRO over what we've literally experienced with our people. Like, we've got to be a little bit sharper than that. So thank you so much for showing up and showing out. Angela, make sure folks know about the podcast.
Yes, so we got into a big argument today, y'all, recording the podcast about if Donald Trump should have even been invited into the Oval Office. So we had the biggest fight we've had ever on the show. It drops tomorrow, and I would love to hear from y'all. We're Native Land Pod, and we argued today if Donald Trump should have been welcomed back into the Oval Office. So Ashley's shaking her head. She agreed with me. Holla at your boy, Andrew. Tell him.
You know I agree with you. I'm a holler at him. I'm be like, Andrew, what is you saying?
Eternal diplomat, man. But I'm like, I told him I was an Old Testament Christian and he's a New Testament one, I guess. Because I was like, hell nah. But anyway, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for letting me be here with you guys. You know, you don't know how much it means to me to know that y'all are all here fighting the good fight. It gives me the energy to get up, to know that we got to keep going. So thank God for y'all. Thank you for what you do, and know that you have a sister and a champion in me. Thank you so much.
We love you, Angela. We love you, Francis. Papa Rise also getting some love in the chat. The folks saying they love your daddy. So we're seeing it. People are giving you a lot of love. Folks are definitely interested in following up to get more context about what's going on. If you have not heard, there's a hit out on our brother, the great mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, Chokwe Antar Lumumba. We know that it is literally a right-wing attack from the J. Edgar Hoover building. We know that it is not going to be landed. We heard from our great sister the multiple times that this has been that this Department of Justice has been weaponized against Black elected officials. If you need more information, I promise we'll drop it so that you got it. Thank you so much, Angela, for coming, speaking a word. Francis, thank you for giving us some marching orders around curing these ballots. Let's go get these seats. Y'all show some love to these incredible frontline leaders, Angela Rye and our brother Francis from Unite Here Local 11. Y'all show some love in the chat. Thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate you. I'm going to remind you again of our calls to actions, good people, because we don't come here just to do good learning together. We come here to learn so that we can put that learning into action. So I'm going to remind you of the calls to action. I already told you need to subscribe. Make sure you listen into the Native Land podcast. And then I want to make sure that you have the link to the Seed the Vote sign up to cure ballots in California, y'all. We really need to show up and support our community labor power there. To make sure that we get these, every vote counts, every single vote counts, and you can be a part of the solution to make sure that it does. So go to that Seed the Vote link at the top, click that, sign up for a volunteer shift. We also want you to sign the YOLO Joe petition. When you do, I want you to hashtag it, hashtag YOLO Joe. We're going to tell President Biden that we expect and demand that he do everything in his power to protect our democracy and our rights before Trump takes office. So again, sign the petition. You can sign it. It's being hosted by a sister organization, Move On. We need y'all to sign the YOLO Joe petition. Next, but certainly not least, you can host or find a community event near you. Remember last week where we were running up those numbers of people that were expressing interest, signing up for trainings, committing to hosting We Are Worth Fighting For community gatherings? Y'all, they kicked off this week. Y'all are, I'm telling you, you blow my mind. With your discipline, your rigor, your intentionality of showing up and showing out for your people. So y'all have already started doing it. We've got at least, I'm pretty sure we've got at least a few more before Sunday. By the time we get to Sunday, I think we'll probably have had at least 100 community events already on the books. So y'all are killing the game. Thank you so much for being there. We've got thousands of people expressing interest. We've got hundreds of people registered for trainings. We've already trained hundreds from our call last week. And we've already started hosting the We Are Worth Fighting For community gathering. So make sure you're signing up for those. And I'd be remiss not to offer you the opportunity to be one in the number of those of us that consider ourselves dues paying members of the Working Families Party. We need you. We need you to come and join. So again, I want to remind you, you can cure ballots in California by signing up with Seed the Vote. You'll be supporting the local partner that you heard from tonight, Unite Here, Local 11. Thank you so much. We want you to sign the YOLO Joe petition. I want you to tell me in the chat if you've already signed the YOLO Joe petition. I see Molly already signed. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Susan L. I see that you signed the petition. I see you. We've got folks that are signing up to be dues paying members. We've already got some volunteers to cure ballots with you, Francis. I see y'all talking about it in the chat. I see you. Breen, I think you've already got it signed. Destiny signed it. V, I see you. Y'all, it's becoming too many of y'all for me to name every single one of you, but y'all are signing the petition. Thank you. If you've already joined the Working Families Party, can you tell me that you're a WFP member in the chat? I want to see my comrades, my colleagues, the folks that are on the front lines trying to build Working Families power. If you've already signed up to be a member of the Working Families Party, can you drop that in the chat as well? And then again, you have an opportunity here to actually go beyond valuing bringing our people together and actually organize or attend a community gathering with the We Are Worth Fighting For group. So please, please, please go ahead and sign up for that. Now, it wouldn't be a mass call if I didn't get to brag about one of my favorite people on the planet and hear a good word from him tonight. Y'all, the person that you're about to hear from next isn't somebody just talking about it, but being about it, and is doing it by literally going to every single state in this country, it feels like, to talk to people on the ground where they're at about what we can be doing to build Working Families power. Y'all, this person is one of the most disciplined, rigorous, and integral people that I've ever known in movement building. And we have the honor of being members of the organization that he is now the national director of. Y'all know who I'm talking about. My brother, my homie, my kinfolk, the incredible national director of the Working Families Party, Maurice Mitchell. Come tell the people a good word, please, sir. We love you. Thank you for being here. I know you just got off a flight, so thank you. Thank you so much for being here despite all of the things that you've got on your calendar. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to get you up on the stage, and then we want to hear a good word from you before we close it out tonight. While Mo comes, make sure you finish signing up for the calls to action. We love you, Mo.
I love you more. Thank you so much, Ash, for all the work that you do and everything that you are to all of us in our movement and in our party. Man, y'all, weren't the speakers fire? If you thought that the speakers were fire and the work that they're doing is inspiring, say something in the chat so we could hear you. Go in the chat and let us know how the speakers have helped you ground the work that we need to do in this next period in the actual on the ground organizing that needs to get done. As we're winding down today's mass call, I'm going to ask all of you here to take action one more time. We love that you are here with us on this call, and I know that so many of you tuning in are already doing the work of building and organizing in all corners of the country. I just came from Oklahoma. I was just in Tulsa, and I just touched down on the East Coast. So I know what I speak. Now, to build enduring power, we need everyone to be rooted and deeply committed to a grassroots organizing home. Like I often say, I'm not just organizing people, I'm organizing people into organizations. And I know many of you are already showing up with an organizing home. But if you're not, drop your organizing home in the chat. What is the organization that you call home? Some of you, you are choosing the Working Families Party as your party home and your organizing home, which is great. Some of you share Working Families Party as your party home and have an organizing home where you're doing local organizing. So share in the chat your organizing home. Now, to build the infrastructure we need to take on the billionaires that are taking over our federal government as we speak, in addition to being a part of a grassroots organization, I need you to choose a real independent political party that we are building from the ground up with people power that will go to the mat for working people every day and twice on Saturdays and Sundays. This election reminded us of the deep challenges posed by the two-party system and the ongoing de-alignment of working class voters with traditional party structures. It's clear that neither major party is fully speaking to the needs of working people. But here's the truth. We don't have to accept this broken system. Together, we can change it. The Working Families Party is not just a reaction to what's wrong. It's a vision for what's possible. WFP is the party for working people, fighting for real solutions and building power from the ground up. In states like New York and Connecticut, where we're already on the ballot, we've demonstrated what's possible, flipping key districts, passing policies that protect working families, and holding elected officials accountable to the interest of working families. In other states, we're working to grow this movement, pass fusion voting, and build the foundation for a party that truly represents working class people. If you're here tonight, you're already part of this movement. By joining this call, you're counted as a WFP member. You are already a member by joining this call. But we need more than your presence on this call. We need a deeper commitment. One powerful way to deepen that commitment is to become a dues-paying member. Your contributions help fuel the organizing, the campaigning, and community building that makes victories possible. My ask of you tonight is to join WFP and become a dues-paying member of this shared political project. You're already a member today. I want you to take a step further and become a dues-paying member. If you live in New York, Oregon, or Connecticut, where WFP is a formally registered party and we have a ballot line, I want you to use the following links that you'll see now. Now, everywhere else, where we are still building to become a recognized party, I'd like you to text member dues to the number 30403. I'll repeat that. Text the words member dues to the number 30403 or contribute at the link that you'll find in the chat. Dues-paying WFP members contribute at a sliding scale. There are folks who not only look to us at election time, but they are willing to see the future of this party so it is owned by working people. We know that most of our supporters choose to start their dues membership with WFP on average between $10 and $20 a month. Given the big fight we just laid out, I want to start tonight by challenging this. I know, I could sense that there is somebody here tonight who will join at $25 a month. If that is you, I know you're out there. Type 25 in the chat right now. Type 25 in the chat right now if you will start at $25 a month. $25 a month goes so long in building this people-powered movement. $25 will make you a dues-paying member today with less than $1 a day as we organize our resources collectively and our communities to fight for our freedom. Again, if you can meet that challenge, type 25 in the chat and text member dues to 30403 right now. Now, maybe you're here and you think you're already a dues paying member. Maybe you want to edit your dues amount up to match our challenge. If that's you, then head over to the link in the chat. Head over to wfpus.org/change dues, and you could change your dues. Now, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet because we know that they spent billions of dollars last cycle. By billions of dollars, I mean billions of dollars. And by they, I mean the corporate class, funneling billions of their corporate resources into both parties, into misinformation, into disinformation. So we know that we have people power and a small dollar donation. So can anyone here join at $20 a month? If you can, type 20 in the chat if that is you. There are people who are here today who could join and will join and feel it is their business to join at $20 a month, which is $5 a week, rather. That's $5 a week. If you feel so inclined to part with your precious resources at $20 a month, please drop 20 in the chat. Now, some of you may be wondering if your voter registration is with the Democratic Party or another party, what might happen if you become a dues-paying member? Now, the answer is you could still maintain your voter registration with whatever party you have and become a dues-paying member today. Becoming a member of WFP does not change your voter registration. There are many states where we're still building towards being a recognized party, and many WFP members choose to keep their voter registration status as, for example, Democrat, so they can participate in closed elections where WFP-endorsed candidates are running on the Democratic Party line. That is a smart and strategic choice, and that is absolutely a choice that many people take. All right, here is our last ask. Here is our last ask. Can you start with just $10 a month? This is our entry-level dues membership, and every contribution matters as we build the multiracial, working-class, feminist party of our dreams. With a mass base of dedicated, dues-paying members, we're putting power into the hands of real people fighting for real change. And what we're doing is creating the opportunity for all of us to co-own the party of our dreams. So if you're ready to join us, type 10 in the chat and head over to wfpus.org/dues member to get started. Or type member dues into the text box to the number 30403. Now, thank you all. Thank you all who have responded to the call to join and to fund the future of this party. Thank you all who responded to the call and for whatever reason, you're not ready or you don't have the capacity to join as a dues paying member because you're already part of the party. It is my commitment that we never lose sight of our North Star as we build a powerful, strategic, compassionate, clear-eyed, non-delusional third force in American politics that meets the crisis before us and honors both our ancestors and our children and our children's children. We have an intro space to the Working Families Party called welcome gatherings, and we asked you to join one. Join a welcome gathering. If you're a member, if you become a dues paying member, join a welcome gathering to build that community, to build the party, right? We're asking to weave our treasure, our testimony, our stories, right? And our vision in order to build this party from the ground up. So please get involved or stay involved with our organizing programs. WFP has state chapters started or forming in New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, Ohio, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, California, Oregon, and Washington State. Please join your local WFP chapter. And if you're in a state where we need to build, consider joining our Wolf Pack program. The Republicans have their elephant. The Democrats, for whatever reason, thought it would be a good idea to choose a donkey. WFP has our wolf. The wolf runs in packs. She looks towards a clear North Star. The wolf takes care of its own, and it is always, always ready. These wolf packs are small groups of people, maybe your friends from your softball team or your coworkers or your group chat or your cool aunties and uncles who learn and take action together. Already, we have formed wolf packs across the country in Florida, Louisiana, Virginia, and many more states. If you were on the mass call last week, where we asked you to organize a community meeting, but then you were wondering to yourself, what do I do after that? Well, one answer is that you could organize those people that you bring into the community meeting into a WFP wolf pack. Now, WFP is not one organization. WFP is a party. Parties are not one organization. A party is a shared political commitment. A party is many, many, many things. It is a party built of grassroots organizations, some of which you've heard from, and activists like you, all aligned around the knowledge that the two-party system is not working for working people. And we must strategically build a party that can ensure working people don't just survive, but we thrive. And together, I know we will win. Thank you.
I need y'all to show some love for the one, the only, the incredible Maurice Mitchell, the National Director of the Working Families Party. Yo, I see y'all in the chat going wild. I see you signing up for your 25, your 20, your $10 a month. I see some folks being like, hey, wait a minute. Why we ain't got no WFP chapter where I'm at? I see you. I see you sign up to start a wolf pack. Yo, Texas is live in the chat. I see y'all. I see the messages of solidarity and love. I see you. I see y'all organizing and making commitments to build working families' power on the ground where you are. I saw a homie in the chat from Bull City. Shout out to Durham, North Carolina, that's going to a WFP gathering and recommending that you all sign up to go. Meet your cool activist neighbors. I saw your awesome activist neighbors. So I see you. I see you organizing. Welcome to this family, this community of people who are committed to putting it all on the line for working families. Thank you for signing up to be a dues paying member. Thank you for signing up to start a wolf pack. Thank you for signing up to be a wolf pack leader or to attend a welcome gathering. Y'all, like, ain't nobody else coming to save us but us. So thank you for doing everything in your power to show up and show out on behalf and with and in solidarity with working class folks. Y'all, that brings us to the end of this mass call. Once again, we have come, and yet there is still work to do. Let's remember, though, that in the next few days, the next few weeks, the next few months, and frankly, over the next electoral cycle, there's going to be so much noise. There's going to be so much chaos. There's going to be so much sowed confusion. And folks doing the best that they can to make meaning in the moment, to digest what just happened and project what comes next. We're in a generational struggle, good people. We have a strategy. And now that the playing field we're all on has changed, we're prepared to adjust our tactics and not do the work of the right wing for them. Our strength, our solidarity, our togetherness, that's how we're going to get through this. So when we're all playing from the same sheet of music and we are breaking down the silos that exist between us, we're that much stronger. We all have a role to play, and as Mo Mitchell would say, we all have meaningful work to do. We continue to be up against some powerful adversaries. Y'all heard me a few weeks ago call them principalities, against powers, against spiritual wickedness in high places. But this is not the first time that we or our elders or our ancestors have fought this fight, y'all. As we leave this call, we leave more clear on the nature of what it is we have to block, the kind of power we have to build, even as the terrain of struggle shifts. I need you to remember to love and support one another. I need you to remember that the only thing that could stop us from the victory that is our destiny is us. Remember that our next mass call is November 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check the Mobilize link to RSVP for mass calls. We've added to the calendar to continue to be in community through this time and into the new year. Make sure you've texted mass call to 30403 to stay up to date about their calls to actions. It is an honor and a privilege to be with you all tonight in this life-saving work. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We love you. We respect you. We will